All right, hi everybody, welcome to Desktop Gaming. Now I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and I wanted to kind of dive into these things a little bit more on my channel. I think we have great content creators out there. We also have some active community members that like to discuss strategies, discuss the game, discuss tactics and how they feel about different heroes and the way the game's going. And so I thought the idea behind it was that I could do response videos maybe from different content creators and give my kind of take on do I agree with some of the things they say, do I disagree, or just have a different perspective to what they think. And so I mean there might be some criticism, but again it's coming strictly from an opinion based perspective. So it's subjective information. It's not well, it's, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But so D20 does a lot of good content, a lot of good discussions, and I know that Valkyrie is sort of his kind of his thing over there on his channel. And so he did make a video about how he plays Valkyrie. And I do like Valkyrie a lot. I played a lot of Valkyrie, put a lot of hours in. I did a lot of solo with her, and I've done a lot of multiplayer with her. So it'd be interesting to see how our voices line up to each other, what we agree, what we disagree. So again, hope D20 doesn't take it in a bad way if I disagree with some of the things he says. I think he's a good Marvel Champions player. He's very talented at what he does on his channel. Again, it's just a different perspective going in. But so how it's going to work is I'm going to watch his video and respond live to what he's saying and agree, disagree. And then once we're done that, we're going to jump into kind of like a tabletop simulator to kind of, or no, we're going to jump into some examples of what I'm talking about. And then we're going to jump into like tabletop simulator so I could visually show you a little bit more some ideas I have about this discussion. Okay, so let's do we're going to share the screen. We're going to jump to his YouTube video, and I'm just going to, like, you know, give my live commentary on it. So we're going to do that right now. All right, so here's Jason D20. Let's start her off.
My secret. You see, I've always said on this stream that Valkyrie is goated, that she is the absolute best hero in the game, bar none. And I think it's time that I told you how I play her, right? I tell you the secret.
Now, I don't know.
Actually, I've done this on a live stream recently, and the video for this actual deck that I used.
I don't know if he really truly believes like I think Valkyrie is a really good hero. Like, and I'm not joking. I think, and when I say this, in some scenarios and in different play groups, I put her up in A. I'm not going to put her S tier, but I would put her as far as A tier. So that might shock a lot of people watching this right now, and they might tune me off and be like, oh, this guy's on drugs. But I think he doesn't believe that she's really, really good. I think it's kind of like an inside joke that he likes to say she's really good, but I think she is really good. But let's keep going.
Modified slightly is up on YouTube, so you can actually watch it in action. But I'm going to go through how I play Valkyrie. Now, there are so many different ways to play Valkyrie, right? She is so versatile as a hero that
right here, I would disagree with him a little bit here. Yes, you could technically get her to work a little bit, but the way that the developers have made her toolkit, it's really pointing towards aggression, or aggressive style of minion control, using minions to your advantage to then get benefits. You could maybe do like a protection Valkyrie, but I think it's very subpar compared to what aggression can do, and other leadership can do, kind of like a Sky Cycle Annabelle card advantage thing, which is pretty good, but it's a little bit hard to set up. But Justice Valk, I don't know. I just don't think it gels well with how she wants to be played. And then Protection Valk, again, I'll go into that a little bit more. But again, it has to do with the spear and Deathglow. She wants to be attaching Deathglow onto minions. And if you're not doing that, then you're playing her wrong. And unfortunately, Protection wants you to Deathglow the villain. Now, I guess if you're just going to ignore her main mechanic, which is killing villains and using Valhalla and Ready, then it can work. But that's like a huge part of how Valkyrie works, right? But anyways, let's keep going. So I kind of disagree already with him right there that she can be played all these different ways. I'm talking optimally. I think she's sort of geared towards control, more importantly, minion control. She is a little bit slow to get set up and get going, but let's keep going.
You can play her in any single aspect. This is one I've been experimenting with a lot recently, with basically running Smash the Problem, because that's a card that's not used a lot, and I want to see if I can make it work with her.
So I will say right here, Smash the Problem is by far one of the best cards for Valkyrie. When I say best, in that best range, it's extremely good because if you run her in aggression, you can get a combat training on her that bumps her attack. Her Dragon Fang bumps her attack. So if you run one fluid, you can usually proc that fluid consistently. So then you're at 5 attack for a 1-cost exhaust, removing 5 off a main, 5 off a side scheme is really, really nice.
And it turns out you can, because she's so incredibly good. And again, one of the best heroes in the game. So we're going to break down the deck. We're going to show what's in it, because it's a larger deck. And if you'd rather see it in Marvel CDB, the description is, or the link to it's down in the description of this video. Make sure to check out the other links as well. But yeah, we're going to go down, talk a bit about the deck, and then we'll do some opening hands and closing hands. All right, here it is in all of its glory.
So it's interesting what he does. So when he's doing this, how to play this character, that character, he sort of briefly does a summary, and then he kind of goes into maybe what could happen in your first couple hands or whatever, which is interesting because no other content creator sort of has done this approach, which again, I think hats off to him. It's, it's always nice to do something different than other people instead of copying people. Kind of like me, I'm doing responses on other content creators, so I don't think there's many other content creators doing that, or maybe I'm just weird. But anyways, so we're gonna hear him kind of talk about his thought process. He is doing aggression Valk, which I think is by far the best aspect for her, and I'll elaborate a little bit more after about that.
Here is my Valkyrie deck that I've been playing a lot recently. So
now, FYI, I assume he's gearing this how to play for solo Valkyrie, and right off the bat I will just say solo Valkyrie is a little more difficult than multiplayer Valkyrie. Multiplayer Valkyrie definitely is a little less frustrating, and I think gives her more opportunity to kill stuff and make her really outshine a little bit more. But let's I'll distinguish a little bit more about solo and multiplayer Valkyrie, because they do play a little bit differently and they deck spec a little bit differently, in my opinion.
So the idea of this deck is actually that you're going to be building out Valk pretty slowly. You see, one of the things I think people kind of, I wouldn't say forget about her, but they just kind of like brush aside, is that she can swing for a lot. Like she can swing for a lot. Like
she's 100% there. Agree with them.
She starts off with 2 attack, but once you get Dragon Fang into play, she gets a +1 attack, and then whatever has Deathglow attached gets a +2.
So I haven't seen this whole thing, but right off the bat, I'll say he's quite smart. He's got 2 mean swings, which is really solid because she has 2 weapons that don't exhaust. So you're always going to get mileage out of those 2 mean swings. So that's very good on him. I like that he has got a martial prowess. He's got some economy cards. I do think instead of the enhanced physique, a Hell Carrier would have been a better trade-in, just because the Hell Carrier will literally stay in for the whole game, and that's giving you that Deathglow resource to kind of Deathglow for that first Deathglow resource. He's running an endurance, which I think is okay, but like I'd say unless you're going into standard 2 or expert 2, I don't know if endurance is totally needed. It's not bad. I definitely think it's a little more valuable on the harder difficulties because you got more overkill, more additional boosts. So there's potential of more damage being done to you. Or maybe if there's a particular scenario where there's a lot of indirect, then endurance is okay. But she has pretty decent health. She can go to 16 with her Pegasus. So I don't know if she necessarily needs endurance, but okay. Uh, he's got assault training. I don't like the training cards unless you're really going for a very unique strategy with it with an event in your aspect. And I don't, yeah, I don't. In especially in solo, me like I'm not poo pooing the training card, but I just don't think it's worth it in the long run. It's very clunky sometimes, and you have to be an altar to use it. The one thing I noticed right off the bat, which is almost blasphemy for me, is he has no Hall of Heroes, which I don't know if you forgot to put it in, but that is literally the very best card to add with Valkyrie. Her whole mechanic is kill minions. To a point, she brings a defeated minion back into play to kill it again. So Hall of Heroes is like auto include when you're running aggression Valk. Like so I don't see it anywhere unless he's got it hidden somewhere. But to me, that's one thing I noticed right away. Um, he's got a few allies. Wolverine, you don't want to chump block. Marvel Boy is a chump blocker. Where's Angela? I don't think I see Angela. Again, Angela gets you a minion, so that allows you to do your Valkyrie thing, which is you want to kill minions. He's got 3 godlike staminas. I think this is more a sub card. Obviously, you're not going to play godlike stamina against a villain that doesn't really have stun and confuse. But yeah, in a scenario with stun and confuse, I think 2 is enough. I think 3 is way overkill. Now, he might be saying I'm using it just to heal myself, which there's better cards to do that. There's Moment of Triumph, which she has that overkill in her deck to really give you like 6 health back instead of 2. And it's a 0 cost. So, but yeah, that's kind of weird, I would say. Obviously, Queen Curry is a good one. Warrior skill, I'm scratching my head because I don't know. You're not really. You want to do warrior skill for certain type of synergies, but again, I don't see anything really that's helping you dramatically with warrior skill. Piercing strike, I think Throg with the energy spear is a lot more better, and it stays there for the rest of the game basically, instead of just running piercing strike event. And Hulk, I don't know, like I sound like I'm disagreeing with everything he's put together here, but I'm just giving you my honest feedback. What I think, Hulk, you have geniuses all over, you have powers in here, but yes, you have some physicals. I think you have a lot of geniuses too, so I think that's dangerous to kind of put Hulk in. Now, if you want to use him as a chump blocker, I guess that's fine. That's a good approach, but I don't know. I feel like there's Throg is much better chump blocker. You get a tough, and it synergizes. Tough can, like, if you're playing say on standard 2 with overkill, tough is amazing. Tough is going to block that overkill. So I think tough is sometimes underlooked a bit in the game. It could be very powerful in certain matchups. All right, let's let him talk.
Now, obviously, with minions, this makes her incredibly strong that she can just destroy a minion and then ready up, right? Destroy a minion, ready up, which is really nice. The biggest complaints with her are that she has no resource generators to get Deathglow back out there because it's a 1-cost card.
That's true.
And I get it, but then she'd be way too strong. I mean, just hands down make the game just boring, so they couldn't.
So yeah, you have to get Valkyrie resource generators such as Queen Carrier, such as Hell Carrier, Martial Prowess. So those sort of have to be put in the deck to make her to be smooth and less frustrating.
Do that, I get it. So we have some other cards that will deal with that in here, and we have a lot of events. Now, I want to say that a lot of these events, you don't have to run all of them. This is a 45 card deck technically because she has 16 cards with Deathglow. So this is a 45 card deck. If you don't want to run a deck this large, you don't have to. You could take out these events. You can kind of see where you can take them out and put them back in and all that fun stuff. But
I also think he's running way too many resources. Now, in the early game, yes, it's going to help you get your bigger cards out a little bit quicker. But I would only once you get all your upgrades and all your board and stuff in play, you're going to be getting you want to be doing all your big events and stuff like that. You don't want to be all clogged out. Like 3 is enough. 3 doubles is good enough. I think going over that with Velk, in my opinion, is like you're gonna have some weird hands. But that's just my opinion.
Anyway, that's just FYI. This is a very customizable deck. So the rough idea is we want to get her swinging a lot, get resource generators out there that keep putting Death Glow, and then manage the board state until we're built out and just ready for a push. I'm just ready for a crazy push. So as far as allies go, ever since Professor X came out, I've always put X with her. The reason being is because having 3 threat removal is huge. She only has 1, right, on her base stat line.
Yeah, Professor X is really good.
Threat in her kit isn't great. She can do large amounts at a time, but that's it. And you kind of need to lead into that. So I like Professor X to get the 3 threat removal, and then Confuse.
That is a very good basic ally that they released.
I do like flipping down with Valk. The reason being is because not to necessarily put Death Glow aside, which you could do, which isn't terrible, but I want the larger hand size or to recover, right? That's really what it comes down to. So that's why I'll do that. Now, as far as allies in aggression, we have Hulk, and I don't really ever use Hulk to attack. I use Hulk as a blocker. I like Marvel Boy for piercing because tough statuses on villains or enemies or whatever.
So I think, I don't know, maybe like I think he has a way better option than that is Bug with a spear, energy spear. You're always attacking with Valk. That's her gimmick. That's her mechanic. So you're proccing Bug's healing. Also, Bug can throw it for 1 if you really need that 1 more ping off a scheme. So Marvel Boy, yeah, chump blocker, and you pay a physical to remove a tough, but he's got like 2 hit points, and then he's got to die or one piercing and then chump block. Whereas Bug can stay literally the whole game, taking toughs off and doing 3 damage. So
can be a little rough to deal with. So I like that. And this is also why we have Wolverine, which I've continuously.
All right, Wolverine's really expensive. I think he's good, but I feel like Bug is easier to get down 2 costs. And you know, Bug can actually attack every single round. Wolverine at one point is going to have to wait and sit there because he's taking 2 consequential damage. So yes, Wolverine is kind of like Bug in a sense, but slower, because once you get the consequential damage up, you have to wait basically, because then if you swing again, you're gonna go over your limit, and then he's gonna go to the graveyard. So I think a better option is Bug with his spear.
Said is the best, in my opinion, one of the best allies, if not the best ally for aggression. And then Psylocke, because once again, being able to confuse.
Yeah, so I think he's definitely right on Psylocke. Really good in solo play. The 2 confuses and that 2 thwart is very solid. Yeah, so I'm not going to say anything bad about that. I think that's a really good card to put in.
Use an enemy is really useful with her. Again, I want to flip down to
costs
either
a lot,
get
though.
Death Glow off,
Those 4
or
costs
to just heal a lot or get the larger hand size. Now, I like Mean Swing a lot. You can actually run 3 of these and it wouldn't be too bad. So when your hero makes a basic attack, exhaust a weapon upgrade on your hero, and your hero gets +3 for that attack. Now,
yeah, so I really like that he had the intuition to put 2 Mean Swings in. 100% agree with him. You can go different kind of variants of Valkyrie, but that's a good 2 swings, definitely synergize as well.
Doesn't exhaust to use, which is really useful. So now again, we talked about how she has a normal attack of 2. Dragon Fang makes it 3. Combat Training will make it 4, 5, 6, 7, which could be really nice, right? Swinging 7 with Mean Swing is just super useful. And then if Death Glow is attached, it'd be 8 that she's swinging for, which is really nice. And then if you find to ready, or if you're able to ready her up from Death Glow, like you attach a minion first or whatever, then you can swing again, right? Like this kind of just builds on itself. But anyway, I like Mean Swing. You could add a 3rd one if you need to. I've messed around with that. It's not, it works. It works. So Mean Swing might be the way to go. Piercing Strike, you could probably take these out if you're not dealing with tough
Yes,
stats.
please take them
Again,
out.
tough stats can kind of really slow her momentum down. So I want to use any cards
No,
to
no, no.
get rid of them.
Piercing Strike, yes. Maybe you're in a scenario where it's like tough mania, but like if you're running these events, they're gonna have to be drawn in your hand, right? You don't want to hold on to them the entire game. That's why allies that have tough removal are always better than a Piercing Strike because they're on the playmat and you can, you're not holding on to a card. You can, if you have bug with Piercing, Wolverine, whatever. So I don't know. I don't like Piercing Strikes. I'm not saying it's a terrible card, but it's just you don't want to be drawing them when there's no tough out there in play. It's just then it's like kind of a bad 3 damage 2 event card.
Use any cards that can help get rid of a tough stats is really what that's in there for. But if you're dealing with a minion or a villain set that doesn't have any tough, then you don't really need Piercing Strike. You can use something else. It's up to you, whatever you want to use, or you can just remove it entirely. Precision Strike I like a lot. It's a deal 2 damage to an enemy if that's attack defeats an enemy. Heal 2. Anything that lets you heal on your hero side is super useful, especially on expert. So I like Precision Strike. I think it's a pretty good card. And again, you should be able to play around with damage with Valkyrie.
Precision Strike is not bad with Valkyrie. I don't really run it because
what I referred to earlier. Exhaust your hero. Remove threat.
That I think is a very good card with Valk.
Again, we can get it to 2, 3 with Dragon Fang, 4 with combat training. Even if it's only at 3, removing 3 threat on pure or true solo is massive, right? That you will control the board state. Now you won't do any damage, and I understand that that's like a big thing, but you won't do any damage. But that's okay, because hopefully you have other things out there that control the board state, help you out, take out minions, all that fun stuff. But Smash the Problem is really just to, again, do big clears off the board, so you don't have to worry about threat getting too out of hand. We have all of our doubles up here and red doubles as well, with Power Aggression. I know a lot of these are 1-cost things, but a lot of these are 2. And a lot of these allies are expensive. And I want to get these allies in when possible. Now, as far as upgrades...
Actually, if you look at this, right? Yeah, like 1-cost red, 1-cost red, 1-cost red, 1-cost red, 0, 0. 1-cost red. Yeah, but like my main point, I think he needs a little bit more higher cost reds to really gain that advantage. For me, Power of Aggression is really good in those Hone Technique decks where you want to be proccing the Genius. I think that's where they shine. Or if you're doing Dropkick Aggression, but he's not doing either, so it's kind of weird. But again, I think Valk only wants to go like 3 ramp cards and no more than that, but that's again my opinion.
The supports, oh I'm sorry, we have Godlike Stamina too, before I forget. You also get to heal.
Way too many Godlike Stamina.
Nice, a bit focused. Heal 2 damage from your identity, and you may discard a status card from your identity, which is huge because if we're stunned, really slows us down, right? We don't want to be stunned. Godlike Stamina takes care of that, and then again heals us.
Yeah, even in a scenario with
as useful,
adequate stun and confused, I would only run 2.
I will have an endurance, so it will boost us up to 15 hit points, which is phenomenal. But that's because I want to get hit a few times. It doesn't bother me as much, and I don't have as many blockers out there. So, as far as supports, I don't know.
I mean, I play a little bit on higher difficulties. I usually don't want to just face tank everything. Unless face taking everything. I mean, on lower difficulties is fine. I mean, especially on standard, you can face tank till the cows come home. But usually on the harder villains and harder difficulties and modulars, you don't really want to face tank everything.
It's going to be one of our resource generators that is going to help us get Deathglow back out there for us. The other one, which a lot of people don't run these cards, is Enhanced Physique. It's Exhaust Enhanced Physique, remove 1 physical counter.
I don't think they fit in Valkyrie's
strength resource.
deck, really.
Again, do it. You can have both Enhanced Physiques out there to get it out there 3 separate times, which you probably don't. Okay. Because, like I said, we're going to be flipping down.
No.
It uses 2 training counters.
Not assault training.
But you exhaust this card and remove 1 of the
bad D20. Bad.
Where we're making the final push. I want to be able to flip down and get Mean Swing back into my deck, right?
Yeah, it's cute, but it's cute, but it just doesn't work. Trust me.
Really, it's for Mean Swing or Smash the Problem because again, if threats start.
I'm just seeing if he has anything else to talk about.
Warrior skill. Swing I don't really play slow, right? I don't really play build out a lot. But Valkyrie, you do need to build out quite a bit, and it is a slower game. The reason being is because I need to get the majority of my upgrades and my supports out there, and I'm using Valkyrie to kind of control the board state. You will see me thwart one with Valkyrie all the time, right? And I know it's kind
Thor one with Valkyrie. That's a new one for me. Okay, let's keep going.
of like rough to do, and on certain enemies and certain villains, like that's really rough to do, and it's really hard to deal with. But you just gotta do it, right? You just gotta keep it down.
No,
Don't worry
don't Thor with one with Valkyrie. Why is he telling people to do that? Okay, let's keep going.
about doing small damage to the enemy. You're going to be doing massive damage to the enemy at the end. So don't even worry about that, in my opinion. You just want to keep the board state just level until you can get a Queen Carrier out there, enhanced physique out there, especially combat training, warrior
Yes,
skill.
you want to get build
and
at the
preferably
start.
martial
That's true.
prowess. Assault training would be nice. Endurance would be really nice, but they're not as necessary. But ideally, you want to get all of them out there. Assault training you can go back and forth on depending on how long
No,
the
forget
game is
about
gonna
Assault
take you.
Train. Do not listen to
but
him on
again,
Assault Train.
Those are the big ones. Those are the big ones that we want to get out there. We need to get those things out
Hall
there
of
because,
Heroes.
again, they're going to help
Why,
us so much.
D20?
And
Why
her
did you
attack
leave out
cards
Hall
and
of
her,
Heroes?
cards that she has in her kit. I mean, she has good build out cards as well. Valhalla is a fantastic card. After Valkyrie attacks and defeats an enemy that has
Yes,
Death Glow attached, exhaust Valhalla, draw a card, heal 1 damage from Valkyrie. Absolutely massive card. Aragorn gives her 4 extra life, which is huge. And I've seen people add Dive Bomb because this will give you aerial. You could do that. I've just never really got.
Okay, I'm happy you mentioned Dive Bomb. Now, I think there's a little bit of hype with Dive Bomb. Yes, Dive Bomb is amazing in certain situations, and in some characters, just synergizes so well, like Rocket Raccoon, Thor. But I will say this: the way Valkyrie plays, she really wants to be dueling a minion one at a time, dueling a minion. Overkill, like you using your have at thee, like you swing at the villain, then you have at thee at the minion, you're ready, swing at the villain, have at thee at the other minion, ready again, swing at the villain. So you understand that's sort of what she wants to be doing. Dive Bomb sort of does the opposite. It will do a bunch of damage, but then wipe the board of all minions. So it's, in my opinion, you can do a Dive Bomb Valkyrie deck, but it kind of is counterintuitive because she does a lot more damage by doing the sequencing I was describing. And I can kind of show you examples of that, but all right, let's keep going.
Gotten to work. Dive Bomb just has never worked with Valkyrie for me. Now it's possible. We have.
No,
the
I
resources and
agree
we
with
have
you.
everything to
I
do
agree
it.
with you.
If you're
Dive
dealing
Bomb's
with a lot
not
of
the
minions,
best with
sure,
Valkyrie.
swap out, Piercing Strike or whatever to put in Dive Bomb. You can absolutely do that, and it'll be pretty good. But there's
All right, and again, the Holy Grail, the Dive Bomb, is not super hot in solo play. Reasons: you're not getting a ton of minions, generally speaking, in solo. Compared to multiplayer, it costs a lot. There's a lot of time involved setting up for hone technique, get your aerial, then getting a Dive Bomb, and then having adequate minions to really get the benefits of Dive Bomb. So I would say it's not, people like to worship the Dive Bomb build, but in solo play, I think it's kind of a trap. Really, it's cool. You could do these huge kind of clear everything in your area. It's definitely better in multiplayer. But again, I think it's counterintuitive in the way Valkyrie wants to play. But let's keep going on with this.
it could be tough. It could be tough to do. And then past that, we have the spear, which is kind of useless for us. Flight of the Valkyrie.
So I'm glad he mentioned the spear. And I do agree with him kind of with the spear. But the way he built his Valkyrie deck, I think the spear can be situational useful. But in the grand scheme of things, yes, it's a pretty bad card that Fantasy Fight designed. Because you sort of want to put Deathglow, if you want to use the spear, you sort of want to put Deathglow on the villain, not the minions per se, generally speaking, unless there's a really baddie out there that does some bad effect if you take damage. Then I could see it somewhat useful in those cases with a really hard minion, villainous, with a bad effect if you take damage. Okay, but then again, you have to draw usually into your Shield Maiden. But usually you want to be defending against the villain because they usually have more effects or do more damage. Problem is, once you slap that beautiful death glow on the villain, it's now stuck on the villain unless somehow you manage to flip the villain. And usually when you're flipping the villain, bad things are going to happen. So you want to be prepared for the flip. So what I tend to do if I'm going to utilize my spear in a Valkyrie build, I will usually only take advantage of it if there's a hard minion out there that here's the thing, usually any minion that shows their ugly face against Valkyrie is annihilated on her turn. That's usually like 90% of the time. Anything that pops out on Valkyrie is just going to get obliterated. So you usually don't really run into, there's a minion out there. Oh crap, it's usually dead. But there is, I guess, certain situations, like there's certain minions in the game that are maybe a little bit harder to deal with, like the Sleeper. There was the print and play Ronin minion, which is like kind of like a mini villain. That's hard to deal with in one go. But in all fairness, pretty much she deletes anything that comes out the following round. So you don't really get too many situations where you have to Deathglow a hard minion to kill and you couldn't kill it, and then you're going to take advantage of the Deathglow with the +1 defense to it with the spear. But that being said, how I generally would use the spear is when I know I'm going to be able to kill the villain on my next round, I'll Deathglow the villain, and if by chance I draw into Shield Maiden, I could even get a nice non-exhaust defend, and then when it's my turn, I quickly flip the villain. I get my Deathglow back, and if there's minions on the table, I can then attach them to the minions and do my whole Valkyrie shenanigans. But the trap is, and probably a lot of people that play Valkyrie, they'll throw Deathglow onto the villain, and they're not able to flip the villain. And now Deathglow is literally attached to the villain, and you have all these minions, these beautiful minions out, but now you can't do her synergy. You can't do the Valkyrie killing machine because your Deathglow is stuck on the freaking villain. So again, I think that's more Fantasy Flight. Did not really play test that well. Like it just doesn't. It's clunky. They should have had a way where players either when you play Shield Maiden, it will get attached to maybe the thing that's attacking you, and then you have the option to take off Deathglow or leave it on, or something like that. Or I don't know. I'm just saying currently the way that they have it, they just didn't even try, and it's, a lot of people are frustrated. Another thing, shout out to Steve from Play the Game. The spear should have had piercing. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe they'll errata that. Give Valkyrie piercing with spear. That would be nice. Let's make Hulk great again. Let's make Valkyrie great again.
Which after the enemy with Deathglow is defeated, discard this card to remove 5 threat from the scheme. This is the hard thing with her, is that it's nice to get that on the table, because when you have a...
So he's talking about Flight of the Valkyr. I think this one's also like underlooked in the community. It's a card that can burst down a huge amount of threat, and it can usually one-shot most side schemes. If we're solo, it's pretty much 90% of the side schemes on solo. But what's nice about it, it's on the table, right? So it's something that is, if you get bombarded all of a sudden with some bad, nasty side schemes, or if there's a whole lot of threat put on, you have something already on the table. You just have to kill like a minion, and there you go. Remove 5. So I think there's not heroes in the game that have that luxury of having something on the play mat ready to go to burst down 5 threat. The key thing, it's not in your hand. So that's the nice thing. Anyways, let's keep going.
Side scheme or the main scheme built up by a lot, this can really reduce it by a ton, but it's not very reliable, and there's only 2 of them in the game.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with him on not reliable. I mean, well, if he's trying to use it as his main scheme remover, yes, I agree with him. That's not... I look at the Flight of the Valkyr, for me, is more like, something bad happens. Okay, I have an out for this. Or, things hit the fan quickly. Flight of the Valkyrie is going to get me, you know, back to stabilization. So I don't look at it like, okay, let's play Flight of the Valkyrie and I'm going to just use it to thwart. I kind of use it as a standby thing. When I really need it, I'm going to proc it.
So those are basically the main cards that we have. They're what we got going on. So let's go back down the table. Let's do some opening hands, or an opening hand, play through a little bit. Like I said, it's gonna be a bit of a slower play because we're doing.
All right, so that kind of wraps it up for his kind of him going through his deck, talking a little bit the Valkyrie cards. Overall, I think, you know, he did. Not saying he did a bad job, but like different. Again, we all have different viewpoints on what we think is strong, how you want to play different cards, how you want to play Marvel Champions. And, you know, I respect his opinions and his thought processing. I'm not, you know, trying to say, you know, don't listen to anything he's saying in his guide here. Again, I think it's interesting for you, the viewer, to hear me out, then hear him out, hear what I kind of say, hear what he says, and you decide who you think is right or wrong. Or, you know, I think Valkyrie is an interesting hero. For me, I like discussing her a little bit because I think at first glance and first couple plays, people get this assumption that she's a terrible hero. And yes, she has some shortcomings. And, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about those things and whatnot. But overall, this was D20's kind of how to play Valkyrie. And this is sort of one of my first response that I've kind of, well, I downloaded Tony Tail's response a long time ago, which actually got pretty good, you know, likes and views. But I kind of screwed up on the audio, so you can barely hear him. But rest in peace, Tony Tails. Hopefully he'll come back because he was a good content creator. So with that being said, we're going to go to one of my live plays. So this is me on my stream. And I just wanted to showcase, because we get this idea like Valkyrie, Hulk, you know, they're crappy heroes, they're D-tier heroes, and they can't thwart. They're so one-dimensional heroes. And so you can see by where the video is, it's not even at the halfway mark. So I'm playing Loki, and I'll just mute myself and kind of commentate here. So I've got it at fast speed. Actually, let's unmute. So this is a Valkyrie turn, and this is where the interesting part of my journey begins. So first off, we want to. So we just have 2 minions out to play. We have 15 threat on the main, which is scary. I'm gonna swing at Loki. Now I have to discard card. It's not a treachery. So you can see. Remember I talked about giving Bug the energy spear. What's really nice about that, like say you have a 4 health minion with tough. This is perfect, right? He's gonna get tough off, deal 3 damage, 1 hit away from dying, and that's ideal for Valkyrie because she wants to be overkilling stuff. Do the damage on him. So, oh wait, does he have? No, we got tough. How did we get the tough off? No, the overkill, we got the tough off, I think. Yeah. Okay, so we're swinging 3, 4, 5, doing 5 damage. All right, so my first move with Valkyrie, we do 5 damage. Now, I'm going to, and yeah, just a note, I'm supposed to be checking if it's a treachery or not. And I think I missed a few. Maybe this round I was forgetting to do that, but yeah, just FYI. Fair resource. Death Glow. We heal Bug. Let's Death Glow him. Bug swings for 3 knocks. Tough off. Takes the damage. All right. Again, so what we're doing here, we're watching an actual real life example of like what Valkyrie can accomplish. But then I'm going to do this. We're gonna go. Well, let's use Volstagg. All right, let's do this. Let's go double plus Hellcarrier, dropkick. We're gonna do that to Loki. All right, so we already swung for 5. We're doing a dropkick now to do a stun. So that's 5 plus 4 is 9 damage. 9 damage already to the villain. We have to discard a card. It is a treachery, so he takes no damage. This is discarded. Okay, so I did remember to do the check for treachery. So we ended up not doing any damage, but you get the idea. But we do put a stun on him, and we draw a card. Okay. So now I'm gonna go 1. Oh wait. Okay. Shoot. Okay. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3. Into the fray.
We're going to target this guy and remove 5 off the main.
All right, so there's 5 right
Dead.
there.
Ready?
We ready
Valhalla,
Valkyrie.
Draw a card. Get a counter. Okay, so we're getting there. Let's go, let's go. All right, then we're going to go Clarity Purpose, take a damage. Death Blow. And then going to swing. Oh, and then we're going to proc Flight of the Valkyr. Flight of the Valkyr. To remove another 5.
All right, so that's, we removed 10 already.
We're going to swing on Loki for 3, 4, 5.
All right, so we've done 10 basic attack already with a blocked drop kick, which would have been 14, but
Then pay 3 more resources into the fray.
all right.
Do another excess 5 damage, so go
So we
down
just
to 0.
so we just removed 15 threat with Valkyrie and aggression.
And that raised me. Get another counter. And that was literally, we removed 15 threat off the main with Valkyrie. So that was an aggression. Yeah, that was a pretty amazing turn. And people still think Valkyrie's a bad hero.
And you could do this quite a bit in aggression. Now I will swing for another 5, so that's 15. If his little attachment didn't block the drop kick, he would have been at 19 damage. So literally almost 20 damage plus removing 15 threat in one turn. So when people say, "Oh, Valkyrie's terrible," or show them this quick video and say, "Okay, do you think she's terrible?" Because obviously that doesn't look terrible to me, but so that was just an example. So let's we're gonna jump to Tabletop Simulator now. This is where the good stuff comes. So this is more my kind of deep dive here. So I want to classify what is the real difference from solo Valk to multi Valk. Okay, there is some nuances, differences. For one, solo, I think solo Valk, Heimdall, you want to put in. Now, at first you'll be like, "Oh my God, that's great. 5 cost Heimdall. I don't know about that." Well, you play Bifrost in solo. Heimdall's cheaper now. So you want to be only playing Heimdall when he is not in your hand and he's in your deck. Now, the reason why this is beautiful, because in solo, I just want to grab a random villain here. Okay, Ronan. All right, so in solo, so Heimdall has an effect. Top 3 cards in the counter deck you will look at, and then you discard one of them, and then we can put the order in what we want. But why that's super useful in solo aggression Valk is because you're going to be playing Hall of Heroes, okay? Literally the best card in aggression for her. And you want to be flipping to take advantage of that to get your 3 additional cards. And if your Shadows comes out, you have to flip to get rid of your Seduce or some other things. So Heimdall allows you to do that. The reason why he allows you to do that is you're going to get 3 cards, okay? And in solo, the first card's going to be your boost. The second card's your encounter card. So by playing in this player count, you like, oh damn, you definitely, we don't want that to come out on a counter card. But so in this case, this is pretty bad. This is like additional boost, so we probably want to get rid of that. And then we don't want fanaticism to come out. Maybe the advance, you're like, if it's a different scenario, but maybe you're okay, or maybe you're not. So maybe you stay in hero then. Like you're gonna be playing. You can play Heimdall in hero. That's usually when you're gonna be playing him. And if the close is clear, like say, let's do another 3. Okay. All right. So say we do. Ronan is such a bad. Let's do something that's quite obviously what we would want to do. Okay. Oh, perfect. So Caught Off Guard is a very weak treachery, especially if you have like the spear out or something like you really don't care if your dumb spear gets taken. So yeah, you could do this, get rid of that. This will be your boost card. So you know it's a 1, and then this is your encounter card. So because you have that information from Heimdall, you can calculate exactly how much the scheme's going to go up by, and then how much threat is going to be put on. So as long as it doesn't pop, if you're even one away, you're fine because you know exactly you're getting the cut off guard. So you can flip safely and sleep at night, and you don't even need to confuse. Okay. What's nice about Hemdall, he then can stay and thwart for 3 rounds and then do a 3 attack. So that's 6 thwart, and he has a pretty powerful attack, or you could use him as a chump blocker once he gets those 3 consequential damage. But yes, that's why I think Hemdall's great. It's mainly because Bifrost allows you to look for him when he's in your deck, and it's extremely helpful. It costs less. Also, we can Bifrost for Angela, Bifrost for Throg, Bifrost for Thor. Throg can be a chump block, and he can eat up 2 blocks. Thor can block the first one, and then if you want to use Thor for softening up your minions and then doing your overkill, he works really nice. Bug is an ally not for chump blocking, only in life and death scenarios, and you want to be using him as your tough remover because Valkyrie doesn't have any tough remove in her kit. Also, he can remove 1 off a scheme, and because you're always attacking with him, he'll always be at full health. Now, the thing that we have to be mindful of in solo is when this comes out. So what will happen is she will come out, your shadows will come out, and then she will also do that to you. Now what's nice is Smash the Problem can get rid of this. So even if you're tied up, you can. So there's a couple ways you can get rid of this in solo. Okay, either you smash the problem, or if you have say Bug out and either another 1 ally like Thor or Annabelle Riggs. So you go 1, 1, and then 1, and then you can get it out. That's like the worst way to get it off, but it's, you know, you can get it off that way. Or if you do have Hemdall out, so you can thwart 1 and thwart 2, boom, it's off. Okay, so it's either smash the problems, 3 of these, or these 2 cards. And a lot of times what happens is I'll get shadows and Hemdall's still in my deck, and I just Bifrost for him. I can know exactly what's coming my way, so make sure I don't throw it out, and then I can get rid of the side scheme, flip over, and get rid of this crap, detachments and stuff, and then flip back and annihilate Enchantress and start killing the villain. Okay, so because I knew that would probably be a question, is how do you survive in solo? So that's sort of what it looks like, and I just wanted to explain. Oops, bugs over here. Okay, I wanted to explain that. But yeah, so this is what my solo deck looks, and the purpose of you need allies in solo because, like I said, she's gonna get eventually. You're gonna be banged up from shadows, and you're gonna be in this weird position. I can't attack. That's where your allies are gonna come in, and then if you have that turn and you don't have the allies in your hand, you can Bifrost for 1. So you're still spending those resources and doing something, because when that comes out, you can't attack or play attack events or basic attack, and that's what her toolkit's all about. So again, there's a reason why you run Bifrost. There's a reason why you run Hemdall. Now I know in his archetype had Professor X and Psylocke, and yes, you could. Technically, you could put those cards in here, and they will work really well in solo. But I kind of want to maximize Bifrost, maximize like the synergy with that. Thing is, if you drew into Professor X or Psylocke, you pretty much have to spend all your cards to play them. Where in this way, you can kind of pick and choose when you want to play your cards and be a little more strategic. But again, I think they will work. Now, I have this area called subs. Now, I want to explain what that really means. You're only going to put these type of cards in if, A, you're in a scenario where there's a lot of stun and confuse per se. There's a lot of nasty attachments that happen with the villain, Sunfire. You're going against a scenario with a lot of unique minions that have high health. Godslayer is very good. And even in general, like even if you're not in a scenario with unique minions, this can still work because you're always like attacking the villain almost every round. So you're always going to get that 2 damage, and that adds up. So what you would normally do is you would just sub out maybe a card, or if you don't want to sub out a card, you could just go to 41, right? So it's not too bad going to 41, I think so. Now, mean swings, again, I would go 2 of, and again, you could sub out, like if you don't want to go 3 drop kicks, you can go maybe 2 smashes and 2 mean swings. Like, you know, this is just an example of how maybe I would run a solo deck. But again, I would consider these subs, and depending on your preference, you know, feel free to change some cards, put it in. Now, this yellow Hone Technique, do not run this in solo. I already went in when D20 was talking. I talked in depth on why this not a good archetype for Valkyrie, and I will challenge anybody if they disagree, if they want to debate me on this for Valkyrie. I don't think it's useful, especially in solo. I think it's a trap for players. Don't run it in solo. And again, I don't even like it in multiplayer for Valkyrie. Don't take my words out of context. For Valkyrie, I think she wants to use minions to her advantage with overkill, to ready her constantly and to hit the villain. And this does, well, with Dive Bomb in this does the opposite. But there is a build that I do like Hone Technique for in multiplayer. And I'll go into that when we go over to this side. But this is sort of her toolkit over here. I know D20 kind of talked about it. Again, your money card, you have at these, you know, that's going to be used to do damage to the villain and ready you after doing that on a minion. Again, you want to have these out as when crap hits the fan, you got Flight of the Valkyrie to bail you out. And again, we talked about the spear. I don't think you need me to, you know, go into the spear again. Shield Maidens, again, another kind of clunky card, but I say these cards are kind of like, don't really get played too often. And then Visit Valhalla can come in handy for getting back a Chooser of the Slain, or maybe a Have at these. So not a garbage card as many people think it is. I do use it from time to time. And Annabelle Riggs is good to get you set up for your sword. Now, the sword is your really card that you need to put out ASP. Do not ever discard this card. You need to put it out as Valkyrie. Getting your attack up is very vital. So combat training, do not discard, put it out, put your sword out. Even try to put out fluid motion. Oh, we didn't talk about fluid motion. Okay, so why fluid motion is really nice is, and I would only go one of them, is because the chances of you doing like Into the Fray, but more importantly, like a drop kick. So check this move. You start your turn, you do a drop kick, you stun the villain, you draw a card. Now you proc fluid motion. Now you're, say if you have combat and your sword, you're a five strength hero. So that means you can smash the problem for 5. You can attack the villain for 5. And yeah, so it's just really powerful. I don't see people even running this. Just one of, it's, trust me, it synergizes so well with what you're doing here. Let's jump to multiplayer, because I think we kind of explained solo and we looked at these cards. Okay. But yeah, you can see I've got Hellcarrier, Queen Carrier, and that's to help us pay for her cards. Now, you might look at this and say, gee, Descry, it looks a lot like your solo. Well, no, look a little closer. Okay, there's no Hemdell. Reason why you don't want to run Hemdell multiplayer is because Hemdell turns into basically just seeing what boost cards you're getting in multiplayer, which is still valuable, but not as valuable in solo. Solo, it allows you to literally see your encounter card, which that is a lot more powerful having that knowledge, because those encounter cards can generally end you, like an advance or like a really bad card that you don't want to show, like Shadows of the Past or something like that. So Hemdell, I think, is not that great for her in multiplayer. And we took out Bifrost just because, again, in solo, you really, really rely on your allies to bail you out. So I think it works a lot better in the solo atmosphere with her. I think Thor does Bifrost a little bit better, and I think you want to run Bifrost in multiplayer Thor. But I would only run it in solo Valkyrie based on what I was trying to explain there. So the difference is you could run Hone Technique in multiplayer. In fact, I think it does gel a little bit better in multiplayer for her. And you might say, well, where's the dive bomb? Well, I just told you why you don't want to run dive bomb. If you watched this video, I've gone quite a bit on why dive bomb is not a good idea with Valkyrie. But again, if you really want to do the dive bomb, go ahead, throw it in there. But again, I think she synergizes better without it. So what you're doing is you're running a double genius and 2 power aggressions. What you might be saying, well, where's the power and the strength in one? Where are they? They're not in there. Because again, I don't believe you want to go more than 3 ramp cards with her. You don't want, when you have too many ramp cards, you're going to have dead, frustrating, hulked hands. You don't want that. So the thing is, once you get Martial Palace, once you get these down, you have the resource generators you need, okay? These are for you to proc your Hone Technique. These can all go to geniuses. So they're going to proc these, going to proc these. Now you might say, well, drop kick don't work properly with Hone Technique. Correct. You're not going to be able to stun and draw a card, but you will get to 7 damage with a drop kick if you want to proc it with genius with Hone Technique. So there'll be times where you might get 2 drop kicks in your hand. Okay, proc it with the red, get the stun, get the draw, 4 damage. Then if the only thing else you got is another drop kick, you can proc it for a Hone Technique and do 7 damage. Now, what's nice about multiplayer Hone Technique is everything scales more. So you have more threat on the main, you have more side scheme. So what's nice about is Into the Fray with Hone Technique, you're doing 9 damage. So because you're playing in multiplayer, there's a lot more threat to remove. If you're a Hone Techniquing with Into the Fray in solo, the mains usually don't have like 15, 20 on the main. So it's counterproductive to be Hone Techniquing in solo. That's a little bit too much. It's like overkill. So yeah, I think you get more mileage with Hone Technique in multiplayer. You can remove a lot more threat. We run 2 marks, so then you can do these huge overkill damages with Into the Fray. You can even proc that with a drop kick, 7 with overkill if you do that, or use her 5 attack once you have fluid proc and do overkill, but better with Into the Fray, obviously. So that's everything's pretty much close, but some small changes. Again, you can still sub these cards over here in multiplayer. I think Godslayer is definitely, maybe you want to do that. Now, let me talk about Godslayer. Is you're not going to play your spear. It's a restricted weapon, but that's okay. The spear is kind of like a dead mechanic, in my opinion. It can be useful, but like we're talking when the stars align and things go to what I mentioned, how you want to flip the villain in the next turn. So there you go. There's your chance to Deathglow, and maybe we draw into a maiden, maybe not. But again, that's like a sliver of what the whole game's going to happen. So yeah, I think Godslayer is a better substitute than your spear. And if you play on higher difficulties, such as Standard 2, Expert Standard 2, Overwhelming Force is going to knock off your highest upgrade. So playing the Godslayer can kind of shield your Queen Carrier, Hell Carrier, or your Hone Technique, which, again, I'd rather have this go than these 3 cards. So, again, that's another kind of strategy if you're like me that play a little bit on the harder difficulties. But again, yeah, this is kind of similar to the solo, but with some changes, namely Hone Technique, no Heimdall, no Bifrost. And again, now these are like general ideas for multiplayer, but you just get the gist of the ideas what I'm talking about. But yeah, you have the chump blockers, you have some stun control, but this plays really well. Now, I think the other question is, well, can you play her in different aspects? Yes, there's a Sky Cycle Leadership Annabelle Sky Cycle deck that revolves around using Annabelle with a Sky Cycle. You have to Honorary Avenger her, and then she can do her looking through the 5, getting you your have at these or other Valkyrie cards. So that, but I don't think it is as strong as the aggression one, in my opinion. Then you have protection, but again, I think protection is a trap with her. Justice, I think, is subpar. But those are my quick opinions on those other aspects. Okay, so that is the quick response video to D20 and then my quick analysis of Valkyrie. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I will try to do more of these, but if I get a lot of hate mail or, oh man, I don't like you hating, it wasn't a hate on D20, it was just me being very kind of my opinions and my feedback on everything. So hopefully no hard feelings and D20 will still be my friend. I like to do some Nelson ones because I know Nelson has, his latest one was Hulk, which I thought was very interesting, but I think he's more on point with his, I think I agree a little bit more with his analysts. Okay, so guys, please like, subscribe to this video. If you want to see more of these responses, again, you are in control. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, comment, and more of these will pop up. If not, this might be the only one I do. Again, thank you for watching. I'll catch you